The garage door rattled halfway up, letting in the first fat drops of an autumn storm that smelled like wet leaves and regret. I slammed my locker shut, my knuckles splitting open on the cold metal, because the echo of Coach's whistle still rang in my ears like a death knell. Another loss, another night of being the invisible backup on the team. And then Cameron was there, his silhouette blocking the rain like a goddamn eclipse, his voice cracking the air. "Isaac, we need to talk. Now." I froze, heart pounding harder than it had during those final overtime plays, because Cameron, my stepbrother, the golden boy everyone whispered about in the hallways, the straight-arrow quarterback with the easy smile and the girls hanging off his arm, had never looked at me like that before. Not with eyes that burned like he was about to confess a murder, or maybe something worse. The truth we'd both been burying under layers of fake bro hugs and shared family dinners. His hand shot out, grabbing my wrist, and in that split second, the world narrowed to the heat of his palm against my skin, the thunder rumbling like the storm inside me finally breaking free. We'd been thrown together 3 years ago when Dad married his mom, turning our tidy lives into this awkward mashup of two houses becoming one. Back then, I was the quiet kid from the wrong side of town in Elmwood, Ohio, small-town America where Friday nights meant football under the floodlights and everyone knew your business before you did. Cameron was the all-American dream. Broad-shouldered, blonde hair that caught the sun like it was paid to, captain of the team, valedictorian in waiting. He had that effortless charm, the kind that made teachers beam and cheerleaders blush. And yeah, I hated him for it at first. Hated how he filled every room, how our parents cooed over the boys getting along, while I choked down the knot in my throat every time he stripped off his jersey after practice, oblivious to the way my gaze lingered too long on the curve of his back. But hate twisted into something else over time, something I couldn't name until it clawed its way out in stolen glances during family barbecues, or the way my stomach flipped when he'd ruffle my hair and call me little bro, with that grin that didn't reach his eyes anymore. I was gay, had known it since middle school, when crushes on guys in gym class turned into secrets I buried deeper than Grandpa's old war medals in the attic. Coming out in Elmwood? That was a one-way ticket to whispers that followed you like smoke, or worse, fists in the parking lot after dark. So I played it straight. Pun not intended. Sticking to the shadows of the team, the benchwarmer who fixed equipment and fetched water, content to watch Cameron shine while I faded into the background. That rainy Tuesday after practice was supposed to be like any other. The team had choked in the fourth quarter against Riverton High, fumbling the ball like it was greased with our collective failures. Coach tore into us in the locker room, his face redder than the turf stains on our cleats, singling out Cameron for leading like a goddamn puppy instead of a lion. I kept my head down, towel drying my hair, pretending not to notice how Cameron's shoulders slumped under the weight of it all. He was straight, after all, dated Sarah Jenkins last year, then Mia from the debate club, always with that arm around their waists like it was scripted for some teen movie. Whatever tension simmered between us was just in my head, a pathetic one-sided ache I drowned in late-night runs along the cracked sidewalks of our neighborhood. As the garage door groaned open, the rain hissed against the concrete, turning the air thick and electric. Cameron yanked me inside by the wrist, his grip bruising but not letting go, and kicked the door down with his heel. The space was a tomb of half-finished projects. Dad's rusty toolbox spilling wrenches like forgotten teeth, Mom's holiday decorations crammed in the corner, and Cameron's old dirt bike leaning against the wall like a relic from simpler days. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows that made his face look carved from stone. Jaw clenched, blue eyes stormy as Lake Erie in winter. "I can't do this anymore, Isaac," he said, his voice low and ragged, like it had been scraped raw on the field. He released my wrist but didn't step back, close enough that I could smell the salt of his sweat mixed with the cheap body wash he used. Ocean breeze, they called it, but to me it was just him. The team's falling apart. Dad's on my case about grades. And you, God, you sitting there on that bench every game watching me fuck up. It's like you're the only one who sees me. Really sees me. My breath hitched, the words landing like punches I hadn't braced for. Cam, what the hell? You're the star. Everyone sees you. I tried to laugh it off, but it came out choked, my back pressing against the workbench as if I could disappear into the clutter of paint cans and extension cords. Rain drummed harder outside, a relentless tattoo that matched the thud in my chest. He shook his head, running a hand through his damp hair, strands sticking to his forehead in a way that made him look younger, vulnerable. Not like you do. Sarah, Mia, they wanted the trophy, the guy who throws the winning pass. But you've always been there, quiet as hell, but I feel it. Every time I look over during drills, you're the one I search for. And it scares the shit out of me because the door to the house banged open then, cutting him off like a referee's whistle. It was Dad, silhouetted against the kitchen light, his voice booming over the storm. Boys? Practice over? Supper's on, lasagna, your mom's specialty. Oblivious, as always, to the minefield we'd just stepped into. Cameron straightened, the mask slipping back on like armor. Coming, Dad, he called, flashing that perfect smile that hid everything. But as he turned to me, his eyes held mine for a beat too long. A promise or a plea I couldn't decode. Later, he mouthed, and then he was gone, leaving me in the garage with the rain and the ghosts of words unspoken. That night, I lay in my room staring at the ceiling fan whirring like a bad omen, replaying it all. Later came at 1 a.m., when my phone buzzed under my pillow, a text from Cam. Meet me in the backyard. Can't sleep. Heart slamming. I slipped on jeans and a hoodie, creeping past the creaky stairs, out the sliding door into the chill. The yard was a soggy mess, string lights from last summer's party dangling like limp flags of surrender. He was there by the old oak tree, the one we'd carved our initials into as a joke freshman year, IC plus CC, like we were blood brothers instead of this fractured stepfamily experiment. He paced when he saw me, breath fogging the air. I almost said it back there, in the garage. But Dad. He trailed off, kicking at a puddle, splashing mud onto his sneakers. This isn't fair to you, Ike. You're my brother, step, whatever. And what I'm feeling, it's messed up. Wrong. The word hit like ice water. Wrong. I'd called it that 1,000 times in my own mirror, whispering it like a curse before school, before facing the team, before facing him. Then why say anything? I shot back, anger bubbling up to mask the hurt. Why drag me into your straight guy crisis? You think I don't have enough to deal with? Because I can't pretend anymore. He exploded, closing the distance in 2 strides, his hands fisting in my hoodie like he needed the anchor. Up close, under the faint glow of the porch light, I saw the cracks. The dark circles under his eyes from sleepless nights, the faint scar on his lip from a childhood bike crash we'd laughed about once. It's not a crisis. It's you. Has been since the day we moved in and you helped me unpack that stupid trophy case without complaining. You get me, the pressure, the fakeness. And when I look at you, it's not like looking at a brother. Time fractured then, the world holding its breath. His hands slid up to my shoulders, tentative, like he was testing if I'd shatter. I should have pulled away, screamed, shoved him, anything to preserve the fragile normalcy we'd built. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned in, our foreheads touching, breaths mingling in the cold. Cam, I whispered, the name a prayer and a plea. His lips brushed mine. Not a kiss, not yet, but a spark that ignited everything I'd suppressed. Soft, hesitant, tasting of rain and fear and something sweet like the gum he chewed during games. It lasted seconds, an eternity compressed into the press of mouths that said more than words ever could. Then he jerked back, eyes wide with horror. Shit. Isaac, I'm sorry. This can't. He stumbled away, leaving me there under the oak, lips tingling, heart in shards. The backyard light flicked on, Mom calling from the window about a forgotten umbrella. And just like that, the moment dissolved into the ordinary. But nothing was ordinary after that. Practice the next day was hell. Every snap of the ball, every huddle, I felt his eyes on me, burning holes through my jersey. He avoided the garage, stuck to group hangs in the cafeteria, laughing too loud at jokes that weren't funny. I told myself it was for the best, buried the ache in extra laps around the track, in homework that blurred under hot tears I wouldn't let fall. Elmwood High buzzed with its own dramas. Homecoming whispers, the upcoming rivalry game against Central. The way the leaves turned gold and red like the town was bleeding out its secrets. 2 weeks blurred by in that tense limbo, until the night of the fall festival. Our parents dragged us to the fairgrounds on the edge of town. Booths strung with chili cook-offs and pumpkin carving. The air thick with fried dough and hayride laughter. Cameron was roped into emceeing the pie-eating contest. His mic voice booming over the speakers, charming the crowd like it was second nature. I hung back by the Ferris wheel, nursing a lukewarm cider, watching him from afar. The way his laugh lit up the faces around him, how he high-fived kids half his size. It twisted the knife deeper, knowing that light in him was dimming because of me, because of us. He found me there as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in bruises of purple and orange. "Hey," he said, sidling up, hands shoved deep in his pockets. No hoodie this time, just his Letterman jacket zipped against the chill. "You avoiding me too? Wouldn't dream of it?" I lied, staring at the wheel's slow spin, lights blinking like distant stars. A couple tumbled out of a gondola nearby, giggling, arms linked, and the sight made my chest ache with envy. Normal. That's all I wanted, something that didn't come with asterisks or apologies. He sighed, leaning on the fence beside me. "I talked to a guy, online. Some forum for people like us. Not that I'm God. This is hard." He rubbed his neck, cheeks flushing under the strings of bulbs. He said it's okay to question, that labels are bullshit. But what if it's just the stress? The team, college apps. What if I ruin everything? The vulnerability cracked me open. I turned to him, searching those blue eyes that had haunted my dreams. "You think you're ruining me? Cam, I've been ruined since the day I realized I liked boys. And not just any boy, you. The straight stepbrother who's too perfect to be real. If anyone's breaking, it's me, waiting for you to figure it out." His hand found mine then, fingers lacing through in the shadow of the wheel, hidden from the crowd. It was electric, grounding, a silent vow amid the chaos of screams and cotton candy haze. "I'm trying, Ike. For real. But we can't tell anyone. Not yet. Not till I know." We stood like that until the fireworks started, bursts of color exploding overhead, mirroring the war inside us. It felt like a beginning, fragile as spun sugar, but real enough to chase away the doubts for one stolen night. The rivalry game against Central High loomed like a storm cloud over Elmwood, sucking the air out of every conversation, every practice. Tensions ran high, coaches barking orders like generals, players trash-talking in the halls, the whole town pinning its hopes on Cameron's arm to sling us to victory. I threw myself into the grind, taping ankles and charting plays, using the routine to build walls around the secret blooming between us. Stolen moments became our currency. A brush of knuckles in the equipment shed, a late-night text that read like poetry. "Miss your laugh today." His way of saying what words couldn't. But secrets in a small town are like weeds. They choke everything if you don't uproot them fast. It started with whispers. Sarah Jenkins, post-breakup bitter, cornered me after Chem Lab one afternoon. "What's with you and Cam lately? He's ditching parties, looking at you weird. If you're messing with him." Her eyes narrowed, acrylic nails tapping her binder like accusations. I brushed it off with a shrug. Family stuff. But the seed was planted. By Friday, the team huddle felt off. Sidelong glances my way when Cameron clapped my shoulder a beat too long. Game night arrived under a sky clear as cut glass, the stadium lights blazing like Judgment Day. Elmwood Field was packed, bleachers groaning under flannel-clad families, the band blaring our fight song with off-key enthusiasm. I sat on the sidelines, towel in hand, heart sinking to the crowd's roar as Cameron took the field. He was electric out there, jersey number 12 cutting through defenders like a blade, his throws arcing perfect spirals that had the announcers crowing. But I saw the tells. The hitch in his step when he glanced my way, the forced grin after a near sack. Halftime hit with us up by 7, the locker room a sauna of sweat and strategy. Coach paced, whiteboard scribbles mapping out the second half like a battle plan. Cameron lingered by his locker, unlacing cleats, when Tyler, our cocky wide receiver and resident loudmouth, slung an arm around him. Dude, that pass to me? Poetry. But seriously, you and backup boy over there, getting bromantic or what? Saw you two whispering last practice. The room stilled, a dozen pairs of eyes swiveling our way. Cameron's laugh was too sharp, forced. Yilut, di, like solid. Keeps us taped up. But Tyler wasn't buying it, his grin turning sly. Nah, man. Just saying town's talking. Stepbro love and all that. Snickers rippled, low and mean, and something in me snapped. Knock it off, I muttered, stepping forward. But Cameron beat me to it, shoving Tyler's shoulder hard enough to unbalance him. Watch your mouth, asshole. He's family. The word hung heavy, laced with layers only we understood. Tyler raised his hands in mock surrender, but the damage was done. The air thick with unspoken questions as we filed back out. The second half unraveled like a bad dream. Central mounted a comeback, their defense swarming Cameron like wolves. He took a hit late in the third, helmet to the ribs, crumpling him on the turf. The crowd gasped, time freezing as medics rushed in, and I vaulted the bench, ignoring protocol, dropping to my knees beside him. Cam? Hey, talk to me. His eyes fluttered open, locking on mine through the chaos, hand groping blindly until it found my knee, squeezing once. I'm okay, before the docs hauled him off. We lost by 3. The final whistle blew like a dirge, players slinking off the field with heads bowed, the stands emptying in a murmur of disappointment. I found him in the trainer's room, ice packed to his side, staring at the wall like it held answers. You good? I asked, hovering in the doorway, the fluorescent hum the only sound. He nodded, wincing as he sat up. Cracked rib, maybe, but that's not it. His voice was small, stripped bare. Ty's right, people see. And if they knew the rest. He trailed off, eyes dropping to his hands, knuckles white around the pack. Then we stop, I said, the words tasting like ash. It was the logical thing, the safe thing. Protect him, protect us, before the town turned its pitchforks our way. But saying it felt like carving out my own heart. His head snapped up, pain flashing raw. You don't mean that. Ido. For you. You're this close to scouts, scholarships, the whole future. I won't be the reason it crumbles. I turned to leave, but he grabbed my arm, pulling me back with a strength that belied the injury. Isaac, wait. This isn't just some phase. I love you. The confession tumbled out, soft as a prayer, but it detonated everything. Love. Not brotherly, not friendly. The word I dreamed of in fevered silence, now weaponized against my resolve. Tears stung my eyes, hot and unbidden. You can't. Not like this. Not when it could destroy you. I wrenched free, fleeing the room, the echo of his plea chasing me down the empty hall. The next week was a masterclass in avoidance. He skipped family breakfasts, claiming extra study sessions. I buried myself in the library, pretending the hollow in my chest was just flu season. But Elmwood being Elmwood, the rumors festered. Tyler spread it like gospel. Cam's got a thing for his stepbro, swear to God. And by midterms, it reached our parents. Dad pulled me aside after school, his face etched with that disappointed frown he saved for report cards. Son, what's going on with you and Cameron? Folks at the diner. They're saying things. Unkind things. I wanted to scream the truth, to unload the weight, but fear clamped my throat. Nothing, Dad. Just team stuff. Jealous guys talking shit. He nodded, clapping my shoulder. Too hard, like he was convincing himself. But the doubt lingered in his eyes. The breaking point came on a crisp Saturday. The kind where frost rims the windows and the air bites like regret. Cameron cornered me in the garage again. That cursed space, now a repository of half-truths. His face gaunt, shadows carving hollows under his cheekbones. We need to end this, he said, echoing my words from the trainer's room, but his voice cracked on the end. Yeah, I agreed, arms crossed like a shield, before it gets worse. He stepped closer, desperation etching lines on his young face. But it already is. I broke up with Mia for good last night. Told her it wasn't her, it was me. And she guessed. About us. Said she'd keep quiet. But, he swallowed hard, Adam's apple bobbing. Ty knows too. Confronted me after practice. Said if I don't man up, he'll tell everyone. Betrayal hit like a blindside tackle. Ty, who'd shared beers with us at bonfires, who'd crashed on our couch after his folks fought. That son of a bitch. Rage boiled up, but Cameron grabbed my shirt, bunching the fabric in his fists. Don't. It'll make it worse. I can't lose you. But I can't lose this life either, the team, Dad's pride, college. It's all I know. Tears tracked down his face now, mirroring mine, the garage blurring into a watercolor of pain. Then choose? I whispered, the ultimatum tearing me apart. Me or them. He released me, staggering back, the fluorescent light flickering like a dying star. I need time. But time was the enemy, slipping through our fingers like sand. That night, the storm we dodged finally broke. Tyler posted it on the team's private Snapchat group, a blurry photo from the fair, our hands linked in shadow, captioned, Captain's new playbook? Stepbro special. It spread like wildfire, pings exploding my phone, texts from numbers I didn't know. Fag. Gross. Ruining the team. Cameron's went silent, his profile pic going dark. I found him at dawn, slumped on the back steps, staring at the yard like it held his future. Bruises bloomed under his eyes, a fresh cut on his lip. From a fist or his own teeth, I couldn't tell. It's over, he said as I sat beside him, voice hollow. Coach called. Suspended pending investigation. That, he knows. Threw my helmet across the kitchen. Called me every name in the book. My arm went around him instinctively, pulling him close, his head dropping to my shoulder. I'm sorry, I murmured into his hair, the words inadequate against the wreckage. But in that moment, broken as we were, there was a fierce tenderness, a recognition that we'd survived the fall, even if scarred. The town turned on us like a pack. School became a gauntlet. Lockers vandalized with slurs sharp as knives, whispers trailing like exhaust. Mom tried mediation, her social worker heart organizing family talks. But Dad's silence was louder, his eyes avoiding ours at the dinner table. Cameron withdrew, quitting the team officially, holing up with textbooks and playlists that leaked through the walls. Angry rock bleeding into melancholy folk. Yet in the ruins, something bloomed. We'd sneak into the garage at midnight, not for shocks now, but solace. Sitting on the workbench, knees touching, sharing stories we'd never told. The pressure of being the fixed family, the boy who had to shine to make up for his mom's divorce scars. Mine, the isolation of hidden truths, the fear that love like ours was a flaw, not a feature. Laughter crept in sometimes, tentative, over inside jokes about Coach's mustache or Dad's bad puns. And kisses, gentle now, exploratory, mapping the terrain of what could be if we dared. But betrayal's shadow lingered. Tyler cornered Cameron one afternoon behind the bleachers, not with words but fists. 2 against 1, our golden boy left coughing blood on the gravel. I found him there, piecing himself together, and the rage that surged then was biblical. I marched to Tyler's house that evening, pounding the door until his dad answered, bleary-eyed from the mill shift. Tell your boy to back off, I said, voice steady as steel. Or the cops hear about the assault. It bought us breathing room, but the cost was etched in Cameron's flinch at loud voices. The way he'd scan rooms for exits. College apps loomed, his to Ohio State, mine to community college downstate, and the fork in the road sharpened. Go, I urged him one night, tangled in blankets on my floor, parents asleep down the hall. Be the man they want. I'll be okay. He traced my jaw, thumb lingering on my lip. Not without you. We'll figure it out, long distance, weekends. Prove them wrong. Optimism flickered, fragile as hope. Winter clamped down on Elmwood like a vice, snow blanketing the streets in deceptive peace, muffling the ugliness that festered beneath. Christmas came and went in strained civility. Forced smiles over turkey, presents unwrapped with mechanical cheer, Dad's gaze sliding past Cameron like he was a ghost. Mom orchestrated carols and cocoa, her optimism a buoy in the undertow. But the rift ran deep, a fault line waiting to shift. Cameron and I carved out our rebellion in small acts. Mittened hands brushing on walks to the corner store, mixtapes swapped like contraband, letters folded into notebooks. His handwriting looping like vines, mine blocky and earnest. "You're my North Star," he wrote once, tucked into my gym bag. Even when the world's spinning off axis. It sustained us through the slushy days, the averted eyes in grocery aisles, the way old teammates crossed streets to avoid us. Spring thawed the ground but not the chill. Prom season hit, a minefield of tuxes and tiaras, and the invitations trickled in, tentative, laced with pity. "Come as friends," Mia texted me, her olive branch wrapped in thorns. Cameron declined, but I went, solo in a rented suit that hung loose on my frame, the gym pulsing with bass and bad decisions. He waited up that night, perched on the hood of Dad's old Chevy in the driveway, stars pricking the velvet sky. "Danced with anyone?" he asked, pulling me between his knees, arms looping my waist. "Just ghosts." I leaned into him, the wool of his sweater rough against my cheek. We stayed like that until headlights swept the road, a reminder of eyes always watching. Graduation crept closer, a guillotine blade. Cameron's acceptance to state arrived in a thick envelope, scholarship intact despite the scandal. Turns out, scouts valued talent over gossip. Mine was humbler. A tech program at the local CC, close enough for visits but a chasm in our dreams. "We'll make it work," he insisted over stolen diner fries, his optimism aflame. I cupped against the wind. But betrayal, that serpent, struck again. Not from Tyler, who'd slunk into sullen silence after his dad's warning, but from within. Dad found the letters. I came home early one May afternoon, the house unnaturally still, and heard the voices through the den door, low, lacerating. "You think I didn't notice?" Dad's tone was thunder wrapped in velvet. The looks, the sneaking around. "It's unnatural, Cameron. Disgusting. And with your brother? Jesus, boy, what were you thinking?" Silence, then Cameron's voice, steady but frayed. "He's not my brother, not by blood. And it's not disgusting, it's real. I love him, Dad. More than football, more than your approval." A crash. Glass shattering, a vase maybe, and Mom's cry cut through. "Tom, stop. This is our son. Our son," Dad barked. "The one turning this family into a freak show? I won't stand for it. Pack your bags, Cameron. You're out." I burst in then, the scene freezing like a snapshot. Dad red-faced over the wreckage, Mom clutching a dustpan, Cameron pale but unbowed by the window. "Dad, no. This is on me too. If anyone's leaving, stay out of it, Isaac." Dad whirled, finger jabbing like a bayonet. "You started this poison. Both of you sick." The words landed like shrapnel, but Cameron moved first, stepping between us, his hand finding mine in full view. A gauntlet thrown. "We're not poison. We're just... And if you can't see that, maybe we're better off gone." The standoff stretched, taut as a bowstring, until Mom broke it, her voice soft but steel. "Tom, enough. We've lost enough already. See, we talk like a family." She guided Dad to the couch, her touch a tether, and slowly, agonizingly, the room exhaled. That night marked the turning point. Dad didn't recant, not fully, but the eviction threat dissolved into gruff silences, then halting questions over breakfast. "State's got a good program for counseling." Cameron shut it down gently. "We don't need fixing, Dad, just acceptance." It was a start, cracks in the ice letting light through. Summer unfurled in golden haze, our last before the world pulled us apart. We worked odd jobs, him at the auto shop, grease under his nails like war paint. Me at the library, shelving stories that mirrored our own. Evenings were ours. Drives down Route 6, windows down, radio crooning Springsteen anthems about blue-collar hearts and open roads. One night, Under a meteor shower by the quarry lake, he turned to me, fireflies winking like conspirators. "Marry me," he said. Not a question but a vow, pulling a twist tie from his pocket. Twisted into a ring, absurd and perfect. Laughter bubbled up, mingled with tears, and I kissed him there, deep and sure, the universe expanding in that embrace. "Not legally, not yet," I murmured against his lips. "But yeah, all in." Fall came too soon, dorms and syllabi swallowing him whole. Long distance tested us. Late-night calls crackling with static, weekends blurred into hurried reunions. But we endured, letters piling like evidence of survival. Elmwood softened, grudgingly. Dad's handshake at Thanksgiving, gruff but genuine. Teammates nodding in the diner. Tyler even muttering, "Sorry once, beer loose." Years folded like pages. His degree in engineering, my associates turning into a bachelor's online, jobs in Cleveland, close enough for shared apartments, then a house with a creaky porch swing. We built a life from the ashes, human, flawed, achingly beautiful. No grand gestures, just the quiet romance of shared grocery lists and rainy mornings tangled in sheets. Betrayal scars faded to silver, a reminder that love isn't a straight line but a winding backroad, full of detours and doubts. And in the end, under that same oak in the backyard we'd outgrown but never left behind, Dad, older, softer, clasped our hands at a makeshift barbecue, eyes misty. "Proud of you boys," he said, the words a benediction. Cameron squeezed my fingers, his smile the sun breaking through. We'd shocked the world once, in a garage slick with rain and revelation. Now we shone, unapologetic, unbreakable, home.